I have some really exciting March 2025 new book releases that are worth adding to your reading list. These are books I've read and loved, and I think it's a great time for you to refresh your TBR and add them to your reading list. Book one is The Hymn to Dionysus by Natasha Pulley. Now, let me tell you, I will read anything Natasha Pulley writes, and this book does not disappoint. Now, I want you to imagine stepping into Bronze Age Thebes, where we see loyalty is put to the ultimate test. Now, we have this warrior whose name I can't pronounce, but was raised in a brutal system where soldiers are both protectors and lovers. Now, this warrior finds his steadfast allegiance challenged when the boy he once saved in the past re-emerges as the god-like Dionysus. So we see this mythological retelling told in a really original way, but it's a fantasy that blurs the lines between duty and loyalty and love. So we see this warrior having to decide whether to honor his commitment to a royal prince or follow his heart with this new transformative figure. So if you crave mythology with a fresh, inventive spin and a romance that really defies destiny, then I think this one is a must read. The second book on my list is What Is Wrong With You by Paul Rodnick. Paul Rodnick, another author I really enjoy their writing, but in this one, we are being transported to a chaotic wedding weekend. This is a wedding weekend that has tech billionaires, Hollywood drama, and just over the top antics. I mean, it's borderline absurd, but it's also like a comedic kind of story, and it's also about reinvention. Now, in the novel, we meet our main character, who is a gay editor who is still mourning the loss of his partner. Now, we see him get swept up in this wild wedding weekend. And the wedding, by the way, is of his best friend's ex-wife, who is about to marry this kind of type A genius, super rich person. Think Elon Musk meets Mark Zuckerberg type. I know, not great human comparisons, but I'm just saying that's the vibe you're going to get in this one. So there are lots of outrageous guests. Again, this is a really funny story, but at its core, it's also like a modern satire on modern culture. So you're going to get those laugh out loud moments. You're going to have those that are raising your eyebrows. It's going to have you looking at these tech billionaires and just all these rich people and over the top people sideways. But it's also talking about what it means to reinvent oneself. It's also about relationships. Of course, it's about tech. And it just, honestly, I think what I really loved was just the funny one-liners. And then these larger than life characters that are just going to keep you smiling from ear to ear, but also rolling your eyes. Book three is The Antidote by Karen Russell. Now, this book is going to take us back to 1935 Nebraska, where we see a dying town in the Dust Bowl clinging on to survival. Now, the main character is Antonina. And Antonina is like known as the prairie witch who would erase painful memories for her neighbors. You know, they're going through all kinds of things and she just kind of erased their memories. But there is a massive dust storm that comes, but then it wipes her memory clean. So now we see her really vulnerable. But then she bands together with this basketball star who really wants to escape the town. We have a reclusive farmer whose land, believe it or not, was completely untouched by the storm. We have a photographer who captures some really eerie images, but it's not just of like what is in front of us, it's from pictures from the past and sometimes the future. So we see like all these characters kind of coming together and really trying to rebuild their lives, but also rebuild their town. And as they're doing this, of course, they're uncovering dark secrets that bind them to each other and the town and this land. So we really get like a historical kind of narrative that blends magic and social themes and societal reckoning that really challenges you to think about, okay, how do we remember our past, but also what kind of future can we dare to dream and hope for? Book 4 is The Dream Hotel by Leila Leilami. Now, I went out on a limb with this book by recommending it earlier and saying, I think this is one of the top books of 2025 so far. And in this book, I just want you to imagine us living in a dystopian world where your dreams and your thoughts aren't private. I mean, that's wild, right? I mean, look, I was raised to, if you don't have anything nice to say, just zip it. You're thinking these things though, but can you imagine a world where people know your thoughts and your dreams are being monitored? And on top of that is being manipulated by the government. I mean, that is wild. So in this story, we meet our main character, who is a Moroccan American academic. Her name is Sarah, and she's on her way home back to Los Angeles. But then she gets detained, and by this group, they're called the Risk Assessment Administration, which is essentially a government agency that predicts crimes before they happen. So, I mean, forget what you're actually doing. They're using an algorithm to kind of figure out, like, is this person prone to committing a crime? Just the probability will make you a problem. So, anyway, she ends up in this all-women detention center that feels, again, like our present day for-profit prisons, which we know that is a whole problem itself. But our main character, Sarah, is having to fight against this AI-driven surveillance and just the suffocating bureaucracy that she finds herself in the middle of. So we see her really struggling to reclaim her freedom while also dealing with the depth of government control in their personal lives. So this is like a dystopian thriller that is just really thought-provoking. It's very chilling, and it will leave you questioning, like, what is the price we pay for privacy and security in our modern world? Book 5 on my list is We Pretty Pieces of Flesh by Colwell Brown. Now, in this one, I want you to step into working class Yorkshire, because this is where this novel is set. And it's just really raw, and it's a deeply moving novel about 3 childhood friends. Now, we have that one friend who's like the steady achiever who's doing good. And we see her watching her friends kind of just navigate the scars of just growing up in the town that they're growing up in, just everything you have to deal with being a young adult. There's also betrayal. There's also lots of struggles to define themselves beyond the limitations of their upbringing. And we see them just kind of going through the things that teenage girls and friends go through. Now, the novel jumps between their teenage years in the 90s, which, by the way, I absolutely loved. You know, that is my era. Yes. But it also jumps to a tense reunion that they have in 2017. So the book really captures the messy, complicated, but also beautiful things about female friendship. So we see where there's loyalty, but also secrets that linger long after life pulls you in different directions. And I mean, look, if you have childhood friends that you're still friends with to this day, you know what I'm talking about. You know. But this one really is a must read if you love authentic stories about the enduring bonds of friendship, but also just the messy, complicated natures of friendship. I also appreciated how the author also infused in this novel Yorkshire dialect as well. That was just an absolute treat. Book 6 on my list is Once Was Wilhelm by M.R. Carey. Now, in this one, I want you to imagine a grieving couple that's desperate to bring their lost child back to life. But by doing so, they unleash something even more dangerous. That is essentially my pitch for this fantasy. But to give you more details, I just want to tell you that is this grieving couple. They are so desperate that they make a deal with this sorcerer to resurrect their son, Wilhelm, a year after his death. But here's the thing. The person that returns, Wilhelm, their son, isn't the boy they once loved, right? He's kind of otherworldly, not entirely human. And people in the village are scared. They're nervous. They don't know what this is. So we see him being kind of cast out and having to forge a new existence deep in the woods. Now, we also have a sorcerer, right, planning to kind of release this ancient kind of destructive magic and power, in the backdrop of Wilhelm kind of finding himself and coming of age. I don't want to spoil it too much. I'm just going to say this is a really dark fantasy, but it's also just brilliantly done. It explores themes of prejudice and belonging and coming of age, but also the age-old battle of good and evil. And it's just kind of wrapped into this high-stakes adventure and just a really emotional story. This one has the depth. Okay, so you're going to get the fantasy, you're going to get the escapism, you're going to get the adventure, but you're also going to get depth. Book 7 on my list is Kills Well with Others by Deanna Rayburn. Now, I absolutely love Deanna Rayburn's previous book, okay? So good. And this one is just as fun. Now, I want you to picture 4 retired female assassins who thought their days of danger were long behind them. But then we see them get pulled back into their world when an old enemy resurfaces. So we're back with the gals, Billy, Mary, Alice, Natalie, and Helen. And we see them having to come together for one last mission in Williamsburg, Virginia. Now, their target is the son of a past adversary. But their journey takes them all over the place. It takes them across Europe and Egypt. We also get lots of adventure, their sharp humor. But of course, we're going to get some biting social commentary on loyalty, age, and just the moral gray areas of their former lives. And last, but certainly not least, I want to recommend All the Other Mothers Hate Me by Sarah Harmon. Listen, if you've been hanging around on the channel, I've been talking about this book. If you're on my Substack, I've been talking about this book. Listen, it is a suspenseful debut that is just lots of fun. Again, mind blown. It's a debut. It's so much fun. It's equal parts mystery, satire, emotional depth, and again, fun. Now, in this one, we follow our main character, who's like this former pop star, who has now turned into struggling mom, who hasn't quite fit in with the other moms at this prestigious London school. Now, at this school, her son is enrolled, but there's a bully there who goes missing on a school trip. Now, we see our mom being thrown into the chaos of it all, discovering said bully's backpack and a notebook that's just filled with violent threats, but also there's suspicion that falls on her own son. So we see her getting involved in this case, and of course, she's unraveling secrets. Things pop up where she's challenging social hierarchies, and it forces her to become an unlikely detective, which I kind of like those characters when they end up doing the job they have no plans of doing. But anyway, it's just a really gripping story. Again, it's a mystery, it's a satire, and it's fun. But I love that it also explores deeper themes like motherhood and class, and just also the tangled webs that we ourselves weave outside of, all of the other external factors. Again, it's lots of fun. I highly recommend. And yeah, it's a good time. All right, friends, there you have it. 8 incredible books coming out in March 2025 that I've read and absolutely loved. Again, I hope you'll give some of these books a try, but I'm really excited to hear what you're reading. Are you looking forward to any of these books? Have you read any of them? What are your thoughts? Also, what books are you planning to read this spring? I'd love to hear from you, so let's continue the conversation in the comments. Now, as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video, share the video, tell a friend about Biblio Lifestyle, but also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're the first to know what's new when I go live and when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.